This is Robyn and Cheryl Kaufman from Robyn and Cheryl Real Estate.
You're listening to the S.M.E. Stories podcast.
You are now listening to the next great small business podcast. Welcome to the S.M.E. Stories podcast, where it is all about small businesses in Canada. And here's your host, Ken Alfred.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. We got a great episode today with Robyn and Cheryl from robynandcheryl.com. So a little bit about Robyn. Robyn, originally from Montreal, moved to Toronto in 1997 to complete her law degree. This, coupled with her experience in working with multiple healthcare organizations as the Director of Operations, Director of Business Development, and the Director of Facilities and Supply Chain, provide her with a valuable skill she uses daily with clients to deliver a level of service beyond the average real estate salesperson. Robyn loves helping buyers in house hunting for their dream home or investment property and working with sellers in their $1 million listing. When she's free, she enjoys spending time with her family and friends. Now, her partner, Cheryl, was also born and raised in Toronto. Cheryl worked as an educator for several years before becoming an entrepreneur and running 2 successful businesses. She has always had a passion for real estate and the love of working with people, and she now brings her experience, initiative, and personalized concierge approach to both her residential and commercial clients. Cheryl also enjoys working on creative projects and spending quality time with her family. Now, a little bit about both of them as realtors. So as realtors, they both have extensive experience in helping separating couples sell their matrimonial home. They know that divorce is a very difficult time where emotions run high. They're here to simplify the process of selling their home and assist each party in finding their new place for a fresh start. So guys, we're back in the real estate space again. We have 2 awesome guests. I think we're going to have a great time with this one, so sit back and absorb. For a lot of people in your industry, or like when you're talking to, your buyers or sellers, or people who are just looking to use your services, are there any kind of misconceptions that they actually have? I mean, aside from the sellers thinking that their house is worth 5 times than what it really is in the market, like, are there other misconceptions that they have when you're trying to, give them the elevator pitch of why, they should be coming with you guys, or maybe question, like, especially if it's like their first time ever, like any misconceptions you guys usually see?
I think just the unrealistic expectation. Again, besides the price of sellers thinking they can get a high price, but the unrealistic expectation of, it's going to go quickly. There's not going to be any hiccups, any issues. There's typically always some sort of hiccup or issue, or sometimes deposit. We had a house last year that we had an offer night for this house, and they ended up selling on offer night. But then the next day, the deposit didn't come through. The buyer changed their mind. So it's that kind of thing. We try to prepare our clients that you have to. It's kind of like a bit of a ride, and you have to be able to kind of take that ride. Sometimes there's ups and downs. And that's where our expertise comes in, and we'll guide them through it. It's important that you just don't get so caught up in the process. Like, we often have clients ask us, like, what did these buyers think? What did those buyers think? What did they say? What did that say? And none of it matters until they put something on paper and give you an offer. It doesn't matter. We've had clients who have come in to look at houses that we've had up for sale, who've measured every room, every nook and cranny, stayed in the house for an hour. Do you think they put in an offer? Nope. So we try to give clients realistic expectations that until there's something on paper that's handed to you, it doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter what they do. And it's hard for people to go through that process.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot of stress.
I think it's also, it's kind of like those who, let's say you invest in the stock market and you're not used to the ups and downs of, okay, what's the market say this year? Or right now, it's like, okay, I bought it at $100. I'm like, what do you mean it's only worth 85 now? Sell, right? Or no, it's
right.
We're at 120. Hold, right? So you never know anymore. And I remember when my wife and I, Mrs. K, sold our first home. I mean, to everyone, buying is actually, I don't know, maybe this is for me being I'm a layman here, is that it seems to be buying seems to be more fun than selling, right? So when you get to buy the house, you have this beautiful vision of, because I was one of those guys, and I used to joke with Mrs. K about this and said, I really don't care about the house in terms, and I said, I'm very flexible with a lot of things. So if Mrs. K said, you know what, I want a brand new, never lived in home. And my line is, assuming it's not ugly, okay, sure. If she said, I wanted a house with character and maybe we need to do some renovations, assuming it's not ugly, that's the same I'll always say. Assuming it's not ugly,
Right.
I'm okay with it, right? Because I just can visualize whatever property we see. I can say, okay, I can see our kids' room here. I can see my office here. I can see this here,
Right.
that here. And what always threw me for a loop was when I would hear people, criticize, oh, well, that wall color is ugly. Or oh, I can't believe they have so much carpet. I'm thinking, that's going to prevent you from buying it? A can of paint or pulling out the rug? That's. I mean, if the house is in the right location, the design is good. Layout's different, right? If it's something where you have to do major renos, like tear down a wall or something, okay, that's a little bit different. But if everything else looks okay and it's just like cosmetic per se, you shouldn't be. I don't think you need to worry about that.
You know what? Some people have vision, and some people don't. So some people will walk in, and if the house is not staged perfectly with perfect colors, perfect furniture, everything just so, they just can't see it. And then other people can walk into like a hoarding house and see a dump and say, I can totally see this. I know exactly what I would do with it. So it's funny. Buyers are very different. There's buyers who can see it right away, and there's buyers who it absolutely has to be perfect for them to picture it. And listen, we try to set up our clients in the best way, to stage their house in the best way, take down the personal pictures, open all the windows and the blinds, all the lights are on. So we have them, we go through a staging process. We have sheets that we give them to guide. But you're totally right. Some people can see it and some people just can't. And you know what? Every buyer gets that feeling inside when they walk into a house.
They know.
They know almost when they walk through the door. It's either they feel it or they don't feel it. So yeah. I say it's almost like going on a date, like on a blind date. You either see it right away or you just don't. And it's very similar to buyers.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I said, when we were selling our first place, it was very stressful because we went 0 for 3, right? So, I mean, that first day when we came back and we saw those business cards on that table, my wife, Miss Kay, we were excited. This is back in 2014. So I'm thinking, we're going to sell this house in no time. And I think it took us maybe 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. But it felt like it was the longest 3 weeks of our life because, the first one, we had a presentation day. We had one offer, and we were going to accept it. But I guess it's okay. We'll sell. Sure, we'll take it. But then the very next day, we found out that this person didn't get pre-approved. I said, "Oh, okay, exactly. That didn't go well."
Right.
And the second one what happened was more drama, because the selling agent, they said the buying agent says, "My buyer is pre-approved." All right, checkbox 1 checked. Don't worry about it. But then it came to this drama where it was a single mom with a couple of kids who are pre-teens or teens. She decided they were living in an apartment and they were going to buy our house. We lived in a townhouse in Stouffville, Ontario, which is just east of Markham. They wanted the mother wanted the house, and I guess was driving by our house with her kids and said, "Hey guys, see that townhouse there? That's going to be our new place," because they put in an offer, and I guess we're going to buy this. There was a huge fight because pre-teens and teens, from where they were going to be having to move, so they were going to miss out on their friends and their school, and and my wife. So we already had my daughter at the time, and my wife was pregnant with my son, and I can count on one hand counting the number of years since 2004 when my wife and I got together, of how many times she's been sick on one hand. She got sick because the stress was there, right? And then the buying agent said, "Yeah, but don't worry, I'll talk to them." I look at them, I'm like, "No, I don't want to deal with you guys, because who's to know if they say they put in an offer, we accept, and then they want to back out again." Yes, they're going to they lose forfeit their money, but we had bought first and selling second. Right? The last time we finally sold it was, the buyer sold first, now is buying second, and they gave us what we wanted, so we were very happy at the end. So that was my little story on the ups and downs. So when we're living in this house in Ajax, Ontario, oh boy, I'm not going to be sure how it's going to be when we have to sell it, right? Just based on that experience. But
and that's a stressful thing too, and we get a lot of that with our clients. Do I buy? I've seen a house I love, I want to buy, but I'm scared to sell, and I'm not sure. And it's really chicken and egg. And there's a lot of things to consider with both there. Which one you do first. I think the less stressful thing always is to sell first and then, and then find something to buy, because then you're not, in a panic mode.
Yeah, that bridge loan thing that you're just waiting on and just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to see
Yeah.
that.
Now it's time for tips from the pro.
All right, we're going to hit our tips from the pro section here. So this is now for aspiring realtors, and we have two pros here with Robyn and Cheryl that are going to be able to answer your questions on when it comes to being a new realtor. Okay, so question number 1 for tips from the pro. Should I diversify my service offerings? Like maybe should I focus on being a buying agent, a selling agent? Should maybe I focus just on residential, commercial, maybe even industrial investment property? What do you find as I know for you guys, you're in that, like as the divorce market, but in general, what would you advise for a brand newbie who's just got their real estate license? Where do you think they should kind of lean into, especially to just start?
I think it's good for a new realtor to get their hands in a variety of different types of transactions. They're all very different and they're all learning experiences. So, you know what? They can only gain value. You learn from everything. And then from doing that, you can see where your forte is, where your love is, where you jive the best. Cheryl, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, we do a bit of everything. We do some we do a lot of residential. We do some commercial. I totally agree with you. It's all the transactions are different. And if you're going to be a real estate agent, you should know how to do everything, really.
Yeah.
So I think that in terms of your selling versus buying question, I think every realtor, your main goal is to list houses, to sell, and from selling always comes buying, right? Because someone's selling, they need to find something else to go into. So I think that everyone is a selling and buying agent, really.
Okay.
One comes with the other, so.
Yeah, unless for some reason you find the one that really only wants to buy. Okay, that's fine, I guess, if that's what you want to do. I mean, I think if there was a niche it's a very small niche that I think that some realtors should think about, those with solar panels, because I have a solar panel right now on our home. And we had a very interesting, I talked to some realtor friends, but no one could kind of give me a straight answer on, because at that time, this is a few years ago, this is before COVID, we were thinking about maybe potentially moving locations or selling this house, right? And for those who are not familiar with solar panels, when we did it back in 2015, we have a 20-year agreement with, I guess utility provider here in Durham region, right? And unfortunately, within the contract, you cannot assign it anywhere. So that means if we decide to move the house, we can't, 1, take the panels with us, or 2, we cannot, in the contract, we couldn't even, so let's say the potential buyer who bought our place, because I was going to say, well, I want to sell this, but I want to make sure either we tack on our investment on top of the panels that we buy, like on the sales price, or 2, if the buyer doesn't want to buy it, find a way that, okay, whatever, because it's a revenue generating property, right? So it's we make a pretty good revenue from it as well, to say, okay, well then can we just get the revenue just given to us, even though we're not there? We can't do it either. And I guess one realtor I was asking, they're saying, well, I don't know, Ken, if you can really add more to the sales price, because, they said, well, think of it like a kitchen, right? If you put in like 50 grand on a kitchen, you're not going to add 50 grand on top of your sales price, right? So, well, yeah, that's kind of true, but at the same time, this one is consistently paying you. So it's kind of like almost like an income property per se. Was there something different to that? So, but I had a hard time trying to find agents that really figured out how to do it properly. And because now there's like 4 or 5 other solar panel installations all in our property, and I'm seeing more of them now. And maybe that'll be something in the future where it's like, okay, there might be that could be potentially a market for someone if they really specialize in solar panel, buying or selling houses with panels on them, or charging stations. We have a charging station on our house as well for our plug-in hybrid. So,
Interesting.
House of the future, everybody. No, I'm kidding. We don't have the house of the future.
That is the house of the future.
But anyways, back to this here. So another question I think I have as well is that you talk about selling 1 or 2 properties a year. How many deals, in your opinion, should be in your pipeline at one time that seems to be most manageable? Of course, it's going to vary, but in your opinion, how many deals should you have? How many active deals should you have in your pipeline? And part 2 question of that is, best strategies on getting a healthy pipeline.
So I can try and answer that. Well, so Robyn and I kind of have an advantage because there's 2 of us. So, we tend to take on a little bit more work because, while Robyn's working with one, I can be working with the other. We can be researching different things. So it's really nice actually having a partner and someone to work with. For an individual, I guess, so for Robyn and I, our big thing is giving people our time, attention. We're really good at communication. My advice to a new realtor is if you can't give people that, don't take on more work than you can handle. So in other words, if you're running like a chicken with your head cut off and you don't have time to answer phone calls and you don't have time to, maybe do an open house because you're so busy, then you're taking on too much work. We're really more about quality than quantity. But again, because there's 2 of us, we can do a little bit more. Robyn, what do you think?
And I also, as a follow-up to your second part of the question, which was how do you build that funnel? Building the funnel is very important, and you need to, even if you have a handful of deals, you need to make sure that you're consistently filling that funnel. And we do that by doing our networking, which is one of the key ways of getting ourselves out there. And you need to make sure that people know you're in real estate and what you're doing, even if you are swamped with.
Okay.
Yeah. Cut out.
Yeah, just a little bit there, Robyn. I think we got the gist of it. So we got the gist of that right there. So no problem. So I guess the other question I have too, a couple more questions we have here is that I think for most realtors, unless I'm mistaken, as soon as they become a real estate agent, they're basically going to be that agent for their entire family and friends, right? And some people might be concerned of saying, okay, well, should I put on a website if I don't have a lot of, if my portfolio is not big, how big should it be before I can, create the website and to show people, look, here's all the transactions I've done so far, right? Is that a thing that a new one should worry about, especially when they're starting out, okay, don't start your site, or maybe just start a site that, doesn't have any property listings. It just says, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's important to put yourself out there right away. So we did our website almost right at the beginning, even though we didn't have any properties to put on it. There's a few companies that do real estate websites, and they connect you to different things where people can type in, like what area you're in, Stouffville, okay, here's properties that come up. You know what I mean? So it kind of pre-populates those kind of properties for you. Personally, I think it's very important just to get yourself out there right away. So yes, having the website, 100%. I mean, we've changed our website a lot. Now we have a lot of divorce and separation on our website, but still, just putting the basic out there, having your cards, your website, starting to do your, like Robyn said, getting people in your funnel and reaching out to people. You have to do that right from the beginning. It's a very hard business to get into because there's so many real estate agents.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, right? Waiting to have the ideal number of transactions. I think for the most part, most people aren't going to care as long as your website is clear. It's easy to read, and it's why you're so good at what you're doing. You could have, even if you don't have any, no one's going to know you have no clients except for you. Right?
Exactly.
The customer.
Exactly.
Some might ask to say, "Oh, well, how many transactions have you done?" And you can be obviously straight with them on that. Or they say, I don't have one, but you know what? You're going to be my first.
And you know what? Yeah, go ahead, Robyn.
You know what's interesting? One of the things that we said right at the beginning, and we used to say to ourselves, "Fake it till you make it."
Yes.
And and we're not lying. Like you said, if somebody asked us how many transactions we had or did, we wouldn't lie. But you have to have confidence. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to just exude that to others, and they will believe in you.
Exactly. I think that's one of the best things too, because we all got to start somewhere. No one, unless you find I don't know if this ever, have you ever seen, I don't know if some brokerages do this, but, has there ever been a brokerage where they say, yeah, we have a few extra properties, who wants them? Right? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe that
it might be in some brokerages. It's not in ours.
But it might not be the houses that you would maybe want to buy or sell, right? Because that there's a reason, right? Because normally it's expected that you're going to build your own client list, you're going to build your own funnel and all that sort of stuff. So, okay, last question.
One of the,
go ahead.
I was just going to say to you, one of the good tips we were given actually when we were taking the real estate courses was when people say to you, "Oh, you're brand new," a great answer is, "Yes, I'm new, but all my time and attention will be on you."
That's what I was going to say.
These experienced realtors have like 5 or 6 clients they're working with at a time. They don't have that time and that sort of energy for you where you're all I'm working on.
Yes.
So that's a good answer for people too.
Exactly. Good tip on that one.
Yeah.
And last question on tips from the pro before we get to the rapid fire and the fun stuff. What is your best strategy for dealing with difficult clients? I'm also going to flip this to also say difficult, I guess, agents, whether you're selling or you're buying. Best tips for you guys.
Well, I will say, because I was a teacher for so many years and I've dealt with so many difficult parents and so many difficult children, that it's so natural for me now. I'm so patient with people in a kind way, but I can firmly sort of veer them also when I need to. And that's just from experience and years of experience dealing with parents as a teacher, honestly.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Robyn?
Yeah, and I think dealing with, we have dealt with difficult agents, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that niche that you guys have might be like, because each of those, like you said, those co-listings or whatever, each agent's fighting on the other's behalf, and you're kind of like in the middle. You're like, oh boy, all right, let's see what this is going to go. So, sorry, continue your thought there, Robyn.
Yeah, so it's really important that we make sure, and we always do this, keep the best interests of our clients at the forefront, but we also don't let the other agents take advantage or step on us. We're mature women. We have a lot of experience in a variety of different areas, and we make sure that they know that they're not going to step all over us, that we're strong, and whatever you want to throw at us, we can handle it.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. I'm sorry. I thought that was going to be the last one, but this is the last one.
Okay.
What is the funniest buying or selling story you guys have had so far?
That's a good question. I think I can think of a funny one, Robyn.
Okay, go.
So we had a client who asked us to sell a parcel of vacant land, and it was up north, about an hour and a half from where we live. And first of all, we couldn't find it, so it was like on literally like a dirt road with farms, but we couldn't find it. And we're driving around and farmers are coming up to us saying, "Can I help you?" Like we're these two girls walking around in our boots, like not knowing where we are. And we finally found it. And it was literally like a piece of fence with all of like the acreage behind it. So the fence, it was like a metal fence, and it was all grown over with like tall weeds. We couldn't get into it. So Robyn tried to crawl under the fence, shorter than me, to get into it. And she thought she was going to get poison ivy or something. So she ended up coming out. It was a total fail. We did end up selling it, but we just let the buyers go with their agents and look around. So
as is, guys, no inspection. as is.
That was pretty funny.
Wow. That's wow. Okay. You know what I forgot to ask you guys? I forgot to ask this question. What is your biggest failure, but also biggest success so far? I'm so sorry. I think we were just going all over the place, but that's what I like about this conversational style podcast. Yeah. We go all over the place, but based on your business, biggest failure you guys had so far, but also biggest success.
So they kind of go together. So I think our biggest success was going back to school after so many years of being, out of that kind of realm. Really like going to studying and classes and all that. But I think our failure was not realizing how times have changed and all the technology that now is required for going back to school. You know, we had to go, we had to now do our exams on a computer and figuring that out. And then COVID hit. So then we had to go and everything was now proctored with these 2 cameras, and you had to make sure that the cameras were looking at you in the right way. Yeah. Otherwise you would get locked off. And as you can see with technology that we've experienced today, not being able to log in or Wi-Fi and stuff, you know, it was very frustrating.
Let me just say, there were times I was writing tests in my house where my daughter was crawling on the floor because, you know, she can't be in the camera, trying to set up the tech, because you can see my technology and me do not go together, trying to set up the cameras for me so that I could write these tests online, and just my face when the internet would go out and I was out of the test. You can only imagine how much fun that was. So.
Oh. And can I venture a guess that if your internet kind of like disconnects you during the middle of the exam, you have to start from the beginning, I'm assuming, right? Like does it actually save your place in the exam?
It actually I literally sat there. I think I was crying because I didn't know how to get back in, and writing to the proctor going, I'm locked out, and they're telling me what to do. But of course I don't understand what they're telling me to do. And then somehow it just, after about 5 minutes, reconnected me. But imagine, like, you're writing a test, you're trying to concentrate on the test, and you're so stressed over the technology. So
yeah,
yes, very
what is this online learning stuff? Only those kids that had to do it had to do through that. Not grown-ups, but
exactly.
It's funny stuff. But wow. All right.
Now it's time for the rapid fire round.
All right, rapid fire round now. So let's ask some fun questions. Okay, question number 1. What would your 15-year-old self think you'd be doing right now?
Oh, I think I can answer that first. Well, given that I have a law degree, my young child life was always thinking I would be a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought about being a lawyer too. I was a big fan of that show, Ally McBeal. For some reason, that looked like a fun place to work. Right?
Yes, you did. I saw that. Yeah.
I have the entire series on box set. So
do you?
Yeah. So I don't have a DVD player, so I'm stuck with like a box set of.
I've got one I can loan you. Yeah.
But
I still have one of those.
Anyway, so sorry, Cheryl. What would the 15-year-old self think you'd be doing now?
I think pretty much what I'm doing, honestly. I was always very entrepreneurial. So I always saw myself like married with kids, which I have, and doing something, my own path, not following like the crowd. I always kind of did my own thing. And I think that's kind of what I've done my whole life. So I kind of think my 50-year-old self probably would think that I'd be doing just what I'm doing right now.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
All right, each of you, describe your sense of humor in 1 word.
I don't have one.
That's 3 words.
My sense of humor is just crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's all over the place.
All over the place. So
Robyn, you have a sense of humor.
Yeah,
what are you talking
You cut out for a second and you're back. So, okay, I assume you have more than I don't have one. What's the 1 word?
I said none.
None.
Well, I don't. I do have. I don't like comedies. Like I'm more
naturally funny.
No.
You're naturally / unnaturally funny. That's
yeah. I like that.
I say that about one of my coworkers. Like she is so deadpan, but she is a sweetheart. But she's either really funny or accidentally funny. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what Robyn is. So we'll say funny. That's the word we're going to go with. All right. What are your guilty pleasures?
Food.
Which kind of food?
I love all kinds of food.
Nice.
Guilty pleasures, food, and I love junk food, so that's bad. I know.
Favorite junk food?
My favorite junk food, anything that has like milk chocolate in it. And probably like either sour cream and onion or all dressed chips.
Oof. Yeah, I mean,
all right.
I joke that if I was to become a celebrity and I could pick a product that I would endorse, it would be either Twix candy bars or O. Henry. O. Henry bars.
Okay, so you're on my page. You're on the same page as
Yep,
me.
and I love the, like you said, sour cream and onion chips. But you know what? The other thing is, people, they sometimes will have a sweet tooth, a salty tooth. I have a fast food tooth, right?
So do I.
And I wish I didn't
Same.
have I think it's easier if someone had, let's say, they love wine. So okay, I'll have a glass of wine. They could, but no, you get, when you think about all the calories in a fast food. So whether it's a Burger King or a Harvey's, Wendy's, McDonald's, I'm like, those are my things, and I'm like, why can't I just have something simple as, let's say, a salty tooth, where it's just like, if you take a look at the label on a bag of chips versus a Big Mac meal supersized thing, which do you think carries more calories? Right? So I wish it was something I had a simple sweet or sour tooth or salty tooth.
I'm exactly the same. Yeah,
perfect.
I'm both.
Robyn.
My guilty pleasure is alcohol.
Yeah? Which one in particular? Wines, coolers, what is it?
I think it depends on the time of day. With a meal would be wine. Yesterday, watching football was beer. So I think it just depends.
Wow. Okay. Any favorite wine that you prefer?
No.
Rubbing alcohol. I'll take it. But no, okay. So this is probably another question I always have to ask every single time. The last two questions you guys probably know. All right, guys. What is in your sandwich, and what would it be called? You said you heard some episodes. I know this is a go-to question I always go to, so I'm expecting a really cool answer from both of you.
Cheryl probably has a better answer than me.
I was going to say, years ago when I was in Banff, which I loved, I had this amazing sandwich. It was like multi-grain bread with turkey and cheese and vegetables and sprouts. It was absolutely delicious. And I'm not making this up. While I was in the middle of eating this sandwich, and I guess like the wildlife is so used to tourists there, a bird flapped right in my face and grabbed half the sandwich right out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
And took it. So I'll say that that's my sandwich, my Banff bird sandwich.
The Banff bird sandwich.
But it was the best sandwich I've ever had, honestly.
Put on a T-shirt. Okay, Robyn, what would your sandwich be called, and what would be in it? I can already guess. Robyn's going to say alcohol, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So go ahead.
So funny.
Well, my favorite all-time sandwich, and I look for this in any place that I go, is grilled vegetables with oh my God, I can't remember the cheese now. Goat cheese, and in a wrap. And it's always been, I don't know what it is about that kind of a sandwich. But the grilling of the vegetables and the goat cheese that melts around it is it's just like mouth watering.
What's it called,
though? What would you call it? You can call it name.
If I could call it, it's just a grilled vegetable sandwich. But I told you I have no sense of humor.
Boo earns. That's all I got to say. Boo earns. But okay, we'll call it the Boo earns sandwich just for Robyn. There we go. All right. Last question I always ask for everybody is, what is your theme song and why? That song hits, you're walking down the street, everybody knows either Robyn's coming or Cheryl's coming. What would it be?
I can go first on this one.
Okay.
So I think for me, my song would be "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey.
Ooh, love that song.
I think that's been my mantra. You know, I've had a good life, but I was divorced 19 years ago. I was a single mother, and I never stopped believing in myself, and that my path would get me to where I am today. And I'm very happy. My daughter's grown up. She's graduated university. I've moved in with my boyfriend. So life has really, done good for me, and I'm very happy with it. But it's all about don't stop believing, because that's the only way you're going to move forward. And that's what we try and tell our clients who are going through divorces or separations.
Deep.
That is deep. I think mine's deep too.
All right,
mine's
Cheryl,
not fun. Mine's deep too. I think my song is "Let It Be" by the Beatles. I'm going to tattoo that somewhere on my body one day. But that song's just very meaningful to me. That song to me just it just means like things happen for a reason and things will always work out. And I always tell my girls, my daughters, like things, the next day will always be better. Things will always work out. So that song just is always my go-to song when I'm like stressed or whatever, or when I'm happy. I just love that song.
Nice. That's great. You guys got some really good song choices at the end. I was trying to think if there's any other thing I could think of. I was just thinking of a wrestling theme, so I don't want to probably. I can't add any value to this one of like some deep songs that you have, whether from Journey or from the Beatles. WWE wrestling song. No, I can't do this.
Is that yours?
You know what? It was kind of, and it was always something that. It was a wrestler by the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin back then. This is probably the late 90s when that glass breaks. Right now, I'm not a bad guy by any means, but it's usually I would do that when. So if I could play that song, my kids will know that there's trouble happening if they hear the glass break because they know Dad's coming, right? Because they better stop their monkey shines and make sure they're not doing anything wrong. That's about it. But all right. So last question for this whole thing is: any other advice you want to give? Aspiring, whether it's a new agent or you just, anyone who's thinking about starting a business in general?
I was just going to say, I just think my whole thing is like, believe it, achieve it. So, go for it. Change is difficult, but look, like from the two of us, we're midlife and we made a change. And I think that just keep working hard at something and keep putting energy behind it, and it will happen. So just believe it, achieve it.
Believe it, achieve it. Anything to add there, Robyn?
No, I agree with that. I think that's exactly what I was going to say, that, set your mind to something and you can, whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So where can people find you guys?
So they can find us at our website at robynandcheryl.com.
And that's Robyn with a Y, right?
Yes, thank you. And Cheryl with a Y.
Yes, Cheryl with a Y.
Cheryl with a C, not an S.
Yeah. And then on Facebook and on Instagram at Robyn and Cheryl Real Estate, and that's and spelled out A-N-D. And then we're both on LinkedIn by our names, obviously. So those are really the places to find us.
All right. Well, thank you both for being on the show. All technical issues aside, it was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the S.M.E Stories podcast, which is owned by Northway Capital Group. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Northway Capital Group.